FCCI. But I'd like to introduce Bill Moeny, who's actually the leader of the group that I go to every Monday. So I have a special experience with Bill and the rest of the folks in the Monday group as they nurtured me through the process of learning how to run my business for Christ. So Bill is an aeronautical engineer by training and worked at Sandia Labs for many years and decided, and he'll tell you his story because he's actually coming up to share that story, but ended up starting a business where the fourth partner was God. And yet it wasn't until he came to FCCI that he really could embrace that fully. And so we're really privileged to have Bill here in Albuquerque. He's actually the prayer ministry leader for FCCI internationally. And he sends out the bi-weekly prayer devotionals that FCCI circulates globally. So he's really got a great story. It's very encouraging when you're going through the ups and downs of running your business for Christ to hear his testimony and his story about learning to trust and obey God with his business. So without any further ado, Bill, would you come up? And by the way, on page, if you haven't opened up your package, you have a program that has a place to take notes. And there's a place for Bill's notes on page 8 and 9.
So, have you learned yet that salvation law? If you haven't, you will. A key part of how the kingdom works is Isaiah 55:8, where he says, "My ways are not your ways, and my thoughts are not your thoughts. As high as the heavens are above the earth, so are my thoughts above your thoughts, and my ways above your ways." Another way to put it is God is really unpredictable. Lucy asked about Aslan when she was first beginning to understand and first getting this chance to get to know him in the Chronicles of Narnia. And she asked, well, is he tame? And the answer was, no, he's not tame. He's good, but he's not tame. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about our untamable God. So what do you do when the car that you're riding in suddenly takes a deep dive? You thought it was nice and level and things were going along pretty good, and then all of a sudden you're plummeting downward at a very fast rate. And it's one thing to do that. You know, roller coasters are kind of fun. You know why roller coasters are fun? Because you know the wheels are going to stay on the track. That's what makes a roller coaster fun. If you don't know that, roller coasters are fun. They're just not fun at all. So in December of 1994, Tetra Corporation had 15 contracts on 9 different technologies with about 42 people, sales around $5 million. We were the principal pulse power subcontractor, small business pulse power contractor for SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative. We were doing some really fun things. Mary and I were traveling to Kenya to visit her mother, who was with my Bible translators. We were over the Sahara Desert late at night, and the rest of the plane was asleep. I was praying for the business. And you have your own business to do a lot of things. You have a high technology company where you really don't know what you're doing anyhow, you do a lot of things. So I was up late at night, the rest of the plane was asleep, I was praying, and I distinctly heard God say that if I wanted Tetra to grow, I needed to spend 2 hours a day in prayer with it. So I stepped out of the conversation, thought about how I could rearrange my schedule to do that, and stepped back in, said I would do so. And that's continued. Now, what would you expect if you did that? Would you expect God to grow the business? I did. I mean, he just challenged me to get serious in the relationship with him. And so I expected that he would grow the business. But his ways are not our ways. What he started doing was collapsing the business, shutting it down. And he systematically shut the company down. Contracts that we should have won the follow-on for because we invented the technology. We were the only ones in the country who knew how to do it. We lost this contract. People were leaving. These were my friends. And they had to go find another job. So we had to lay some people off, a lot of other folks left. It was a really, really difficult time. My colleagues and friends were telling me, close the business. So, but I wasn't going to do something that would bespeak a lack of trust in God. I was ready for him to shut the business down if he chose. He had the option to do it. And if he chose to do that, then that was going to be fine with him. But I wasn't going to take the action. So I did not shut it down. I was not willing to do this. If he wanted to respond, but I wasn't going to take the action. And so this issue of trusting him was beginning to play out. He was beginning to test that. To see if I was really going to do this. So we made it through the first couple of years into 1997, and that's when we connected with FCCI. And by that time, we were down to about 5 people. So we had collapsed from 42 people to 5 in 97. Companies don't survive that, by the way. The factor of 2 is about what most businesses can survive. But we did. God pulled us through that. And we had gone up to Pagosa Springs to spend the weekend. We originally, when we planned it, thought we'd go skiing, but we spent that weekend just praying and seeking the Lord. What would he have us do? Do we want to shut it down, or do we want us to continue? And we joined FCCI about that time, and had gotten some tapes by Bruce Wilkinson on the Horse Leading Company for Christ. Listened to those going up. And so when we came back, we were convinced God wanted us to continue. And that fall, he started putting it back together. We started getting some contracts, and cash flow started turning around from this incredible deep dive into something more level. And so in 1999, we got an interesting project with investors. And while I had learned to trust God for provision, he wasn't done yet. Because I had not learned to obey. I was still trying to solve problems myself. And so he had lesson part 2. He again shut the company. And year 2000, we didn't get any income. Now, I do not understand how we survived that. But what precipitated that whole process was this discussion with God. I have this. I never want to go in that arena again. there was an afternoon when I went out behind our building and spent the afternoon with God, wrestling over who's going to be in charge. And it was the most painful experience of my life. I never, ever want to go back to that wrestling meeting. Tends to be different. When I came back from that, the company had a new owner. And out of that, then in 2000, he started putting it back together. He worked to teach us what obedience